The rain tapped gently against the bay window of their semi-detached home in Clifton, Bristol, a quiet, leafy suburb where garden hedges were neatly trimmed and neighbors still said good morning over the fence. Inside, Emily rummaged through her wardrobe, her fingers brushing past jumpers, jeans, and blouses until they landed on it. The red dress. It wasn't just red. It was crimson sleeveless with a fitted bodice and a hem that ended mid-thigh. She bought it on a whim during a shopping trip with friends in Cabot Circus, drawn to its boldness, its confidence. To her it was fashion. To her mother it was defiance. Her mother, always in her navy cardigan and tailored slacks, hair pulled back in a low bun, had seen it the moment Emily walked in. "You're not wearing that to Sunday dinner," she'd said flatly, arms crossed. "Not with your grandmother coming. It's inappropriate." Emily had rolled her eyes. "Gran's seen shorter dresses on Instagram, Mom." "It's not about what she's seen," her mother replied. "It's about what you show. There's a difference between modern and disrespectful." Emily had mumbled an agreement just to end the conversation. But now, alone in her room 2 days later, she held the dress again. "It's just fabric," she told herself. Why does it matter so much? She didn't hate her mother. In fact, she admired her. Raised her alone after Dad left, worked double shifts as a nurse, kept their home warm and tidy. But sometimes her mother's old-fashioned expectations felt chains in a world that moved faster every day. And so, as the Sunday roast began to scent the house with rosemary and thyme, Emily made her choice. The dining table was set with the good china, white plates with delicate gold rims, cloth napkins folded into fans. Gran sat at the head, her silver hair coiffed, wearing a lilac twinset and pearls. Her eyes, sharp as ever, flickered toward the hallway the moment Emily appeared. Gasps were unnecessary. The silence said everything. Emily stood in the doorway in the red dress, her dark jeans and boots swapped for strappy heels, her usual lavender blouse replaced by bare shoulders and a plunging neckline. Her mother froze, fork halfway to her plate. Gran's lips pressed into a thin line. "Evening," Emily said, forcing cheer into her voice as she took her seat. "Emily," her mother said quietly, "go change." "I'm fine, Mom. It's just dinner." "It's not just dinner," her mother replied, voice low but edged with steel. "It's family. And you knew the expectation." Gran cleared her throat. "Young people today so eager to shock." Emily flushed but said nothing. The rest of the meal passed in stiff conversation. Weather, university, the neighbor's new Labrador. But beneath the pleasantries, tension coiled like a spring. When Gran finally left, wrapped in her wool coat and murmuring about changing times, Emily exhaled in relief. But her mother didn't move from the doorway. "Living room. Now." Emily's stomach dropped. The study was rarely used, reserved for serious talks, tax documents, and the occasional board game on rainy nights. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with classics and nursing textbooks. On the oak desk sat a wooden hairbrush, its handle worn smooth from years of use. Emily stood near the leather armchair, Arms crossed, jaw set. This is ridiculous. I'm 20, not 12. You're 20, her mother said, closing the door softly behind her. And you chose to disobey a clear rule in front of your grandmother. That wasn't just about a dress, Emily. It was about respect. I didn't mean to disrespect you. But you did. And consequences follow choices. Her mother picked up the hairbrush. Emily's breath hitched. She'd heard stories, her mother's own upbringing in a strict Yorkshire household, where discipline was swift and certain. But she never thought it would happen to her, not in 2025. Bend over the arm of the sofa, her mother instructed, voice calm but unyielding. Emily hesitated. Pride burned in her chest. But something in her mother's eyes, the sorrow beneath the firmness, made her obey. She placed her hands on the plush armrest, bent forward slightly, heart pounding. The first stroke landed with a sharp thwack. Emily gasped. It wasn't unbearable, but it was real. A stinging heat that bloomed instantly. She bit her lip, determined not to cry. The second stroke came just as firm. Then the third. Each one deliberate, measured, not angry but resolute. By the fourth, tears welled in Emily's eyes. Not just from the sting, but from the crushing weight of her own recklessness. She'd wanted to prove a point about freedom, but all she'd done was wound the person who loved her most. Do you understand why this is happening? Her mother asked after the fifth stroke, voice softer now. Emily nodded, tears spilling over. Yes. I'm sorry. The sixth and final stroke landed, a clear full stop. Then silence. Her mother set the brush down. She didn't scold, didn't gloat. Instead, she knelt beside Emily, placing a hand on her back. I don't enjoy this, she whispered. But I love you too much to let you think that disrespect has no cost. Emily turned and buried her face in her mother's shoulder, sobbing, not from pain but from shame, regret, and the sudden clarity that her harmless rebellion had carried real weight. In that quiet study, surrounded by books and the faint scent of Earl Grey from earlier, something shifted. Not just discipline, but understanding. Later that night, Emily sat cross-legged on her bed in her usual soft lavender pajamas, knees drawn to her chest. The red dress lay discarded on the floor, its boldness now seeming childish, even foolish. A gentle knock came at the door. Her mother entered with 2 mugs of tea, Earl Grey, one with honey, just how Emily liked it. She sat on the edge of the bed, handing her a mug. I didn't mean to embarrass you, Emily whispered, staring into the steam. I know, her mother said. But growing up isn't just about choosing your clothes or your friends. It's about learning when to stand out and when to stand with people. Emily nodded. I'll wear something proper next time. Her mother smiled faintly. I'd like that. The next morning, sunlight streamed through the same bay window. Emily folded the red dress carefully and placed it in the back of her wardrobe, behind winter scarves and old-school uniforms. She chose a cream blouse and dark trousers instead, modest but still her at noon. She met her mother at their favorite cafe near the Clifton Suspension Bridge. They shared scones with clotted cream, talked about her upcoming exams, and laughed about a seagull that stole someone's sandwich. No mention of the dress. No mention of the brush. Just tea, quiet understanding, and the unspoken promise that love sometimes wears the face of discipline, and that, in its own British way, was a kind of grace.